Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's. I have a question. I've got a whole unemployment stack here. But before I get to the unemployment news stack per se, I have a question. I am still, I'm still kind of reeling here over the theories and the philosophy that we got last week, and that is that unemployment benefits create robust economic activity. Still trying to get my arms around that. And not only that, unemployment benefits, if we fail to extend them, it's going to cost us 600,000 jobs. Now, my question, if unemployment benefits are so good for the economy, why hasn't it worked for the past 99 or 150 weeks? If we look at all the people that have been unemployment, we ought to have just a rolling recovery going on. But, of course, we don't. It's absurd, some of the things that being said out there. Now, here is the unemployment stack, ladies and gentlemen, and the first story is from Ben Bernanke. Bernanke was on 60 Minutes last night. He said that unemployment might take 5 years to fall to a normal level and that Fed purchases of Treasury securities beyond the $600 billion announced last month in a controversial move were possible. Might do it again. At the rate we're going, it could be 4 or 5 years before we're back to more normal unemployment rate of about 5% to 6%. That's optimistic, considering other things that I have heard. We're not going to get out of this as long as Obama's president, in other words. That's what he's basically saying here. As long as Obama's president, we are stuck. And now from a piece, Business Insider. Guess what? Unemployment's up again, even though Wall Street is swimming in cash and the regime is declaring the recession is over. The U.S. unemployment rate's gone even higher. So, are you enjoying the jobless recovery? The truth is that there shouldn't be any talk of a recovery as long as the official unemployment rate remains around 10%. The real unemployment continues to hover around 17%. Millions and millions of American families living every day in deep pain because of the lack of jobs. Meanwhile, there are all these economic pundits that are declaring that we are just going to have to realize that chronic unemployment's the new normal. And that if other nations can handle high rates of unemployment, then so can we. Now, this piece says if you have never been unemployed, it can be hard to describe how soul-crushing it can be as the bills pile up and the financial obligations mount. The pressure can be debilitating. The vast majority of Americans have at least one family member or close friend looking for work right now. Times are really, really tough. And unfortunately, the long-term outlook is very, very bleak. We should have compassion on those who are out of work right now because soon many of us may join them. And then they have a link here, 25 unemployment statistics that are almost too depressing to read. It's a slideshow, and I'm not going to bother you, but I've got the link to it. Business Insider. It's a long link, but it's not good, and it's, I guess, typified here. There's a story, UK Daily Mail Online. No end in sight to U.S. economic crisis as scariest job charts ever. Shows post-recession unemployment is at its worst since World War II. As unemployment in the U.S. nears the dreaded 10% mark, it's a chart to chill the bones of any job hunter. Now, I can't describe a chart for you. Not even someone with the immense talents that I have can describe this thing. This looks like one of those computer model hurricane, the spaghetti things. But down at the very bottom, and they're all jumped together, all these different lines starting in 1948 to the present, with unemployment rates at 7%, -6%, so forth and so on. Way, way down below everything is where we are now with the Obama regime. I mean, and it's just all of this. Every day this news comes out, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And the fix for this becomes obvious, and yet anytime the fix is mentioned, just doing the opposite of what we're doing, Democrats have a cow. Let's go to the audio sound bites. This hilarious Friday night Sergeant Schultz had on his show Alan Grayson, the certifiably insane, soon-to-be former congressman from Central Florida. And during a discussion about the House debate to extend the Bush tax cuts, Congressman Grayson mentioned me on the House floor last week. Sergeant Schultz said, "Why did you do that? It was very entertaining, but what was the mission there, Congressman?"
Because when you listen to these people talk about tax cuts for the rich and how it's going to benefit the economy and create jobs, you have to realize it's a lie. It's just not true. They have a hidden agenda, they have a hidden motivation, and that's tax cuts for themselves. They should confess that the reason why they keep pushing tax breaks for the rich is because they want a tax cut. It's that simple.
Now, what to do with this? What to do? Is there, in fact, no, we don't have a companion. That's it for Congressman Grayson. Well, the only reason they keep pushing tax breaks for the rich is because they want a tax cut. In the first place, Congressman Grayson, you, and it seems like all of your compatriots but Alan Grayson's worth $31.5 million, by the way. That's his net worth. Alan Grayson, $31.3, $31.5 million. That's how much he has. And publicly, he would probably say, no, I don't want a tax cut. I'm willing to pay more. Well, then pay more, Congressman, but keep your hands off everybody else's money. The problem, we're not talking about a tax cut. This is something that John Kyle tried to drill into Bob Schieffer's head yesterday on Slay the Nation. It's impossible to tell these Democrats and the media people we're not talking about a tax cut. We're talking about two things: maintaining current tax rates or a tax increase. Pure and simple. Nobody is getting a tax cut. Now, I know if Alan Grayson, if that idiot can end up with $31.5 million, anybody can. It's one of the greatest motivational details that I've ever imparted to you. Grayson can do it. You can do it. But nobody's talking tax cuts here. Why doesn't Grayson move to a state where he can pay state income tax if he is so high on all this? Leave Florida and go to the Bronx. He was born and raised in New York City. He was born and raised in the Bronx. Alan, just head back there. If you're not paying enough taxes, there's plenty of places in the country that'll take you. But nobody is talking about a tax cut. We're simply talking about extending current tax rates as opposed to a tax increase, which you start talking people at 250 grand or more, you're talking about job creators. And I think, actually, we don't have to do too big a sales job on this. I think most people have come to understand what this is all about, which is why Obama's going to cave on this. And it's why the Democrats, the left, is livid. There are stories today. We got sound bites too. Krugman's ticked off. Let's see everybody's ticked off on the Democrat side. Claire McCaskill's ticked off. They're all ticked off at Obama. And Mark Halperin at Time Magazine, you remember when 9/11 happened? When 9/11 happened, there were actually a bunch of people, Democrats, that said, damn it, why couldn't this have happened when Clinton was president? A chance for Clinton to have some greatness. Why does it have to be wasted on Bush? Now, the bottom line on this is, Clinton had his disaster. It was the Oklahoma City bombing. Now, Halpern is writing, it's a piece today. It's all about what does Obama have to do to come back? It doesn't matter if it's good for the country or not. Halpern says, hey, if there's another 9/11, another Oklahoma City bombing, if people get killed, that might be what it takes to bring Obama back. The hell with what's good or bad for the country. Well, Claire McCaskill, I think she goes to the same school as Alan Grayson. She keeps saying they're giving money to millionaires and billionaires. This is their latest mantra. This is why I went through this whole little monologue last week about, so if we extend the Bush tax cuts, Washington is going to write people a check? Is that what's happening here if we extend these Bush tax rates? This is pure demagoguery. It's pure lying, and it is... it's not working. Washington News, White House Congress reportedly near deal to extend all Bush-era tax cuts. Media reports, including stories in all three network newscasts, describe the White House and Congress very close to a deal to extend temporarily all Bush-era tax cuts. The potential deal being cast as somewhat of a defeat for the president and as a highly disheartening development for Democrats and liberal activists. ABC's World News tonight reported the president's preparing to break one of his biggest campaign promises, as it appears Republicans will get all the tax cuts extended. They're not tax cuts anymore, they're tax rates. In a second story, ABC's World News tonight said the White House views this as the last best chance to get priorities passed, including extending unemployment benefits. But the flip side is, this is happening while Democrats still control Congress. The view of many on the left is, if the president has to move this far right now, it's going to be much farther next month when the Republicans are in the majority. CBS Evening News reported liberals have been begging Obama not to cave to GOP demands. The White House is worried about losing twice if no deal is reached and all tax cuts expire. The economy could buckle. The president would get the share of the blame. He already is starting to get the largest share of the blame. NBC Nightly News, John Harwood said it appears that they're headed toward a perhaps 2-year extension of all those tax rates. New York Times on the front page. Senior Democrats on Sunday said they were resigned to defeat in the highly charged tax debate, and they voiced dismay. The AP reports some Democrats continued to object to any plan that would continue Bush-era tax rates at the highest income levels. Politico reports the Republicans seem more sanguine Sunday about the direction of the debate and the negotiations than did Democrats. McClatchy reports despite talk of compromise, the rising level of partisan rancor in recent days remains a possible glitch. Congressional leaders surprised many rank-and-file members by insisting on votes last week. It goes on and on and on about how Obama's caving when he has the majority in the House of Representatives.